Joan of Arc, a peasant woman who assumed to lead a man's army, to take up a king's burden, and proclaim herself a prophet of God. Joan was driven by the voices she heard, which she believed to be messages from God, to take up a sword against the English. Also known as the Maid of Orleans, Joan's rallying of the French troops ultimately helped lead to victory in the 100 Years' War. If she'd been a man, she would have been hailed a hero for these actions, but as it was, she was proclaimed a heretic and paid dearly for her crimes. Most believe she died due to the charges of heresy, but the majority of her court case was centered around the fact that she wore men's armor into battle. It was her gender that ultimately became her death sentence. Children say that people are sometimes hung for saying the truth. I am not afraid. I was born for this.
Her mother's shame burned within her. When Mary was 25, her mother, Catherine of Aragon, was forsaken. Through Henry VIII's divorce, Catherine became a whore in the eyes of the Catholic Church, and she was forced to leave her daughter in the court of England. Mary witnessed the abuse of her mother at the hands of a newly born Protestant philosophy, and it sparked a bloody hatred. Mary executed a religious genocide over 250 Protestants during her reign to return England to the Church of Rome. Mary was not a martyr. She twisted religion to fulfill her lust for revenge, even if it meant killing those who did not agree.
They were all weak. Her husband, each of her 3 sons, they were all too weak to rule over France. Being a woman meant she couldn't technically rule over France herself, but Catherine de' Medici knew exactly how her country needed to be run. In the face of a religious civil war between the French Calvinists, or Huguenots, and the native Roman Catholics, Catherine's political influence was the only thing keeping France afloat. To quell some of this tension, Catherine decided to marry her daughter to a prominent Huguenot. However, after she had everything planned out and the wedding was well underway, she realized that to make peace with the Huguenots would put France in the wrong in the eyes of the Catholic Church, the most prominent world power at the time. Instead of panicking, she quickly came up with a solution. She had them all slaughtered. Every Huguenot attending her daughter's wedding was completely unarmed, so she had each one of them killed. One by one, she watched them fall in a necessary massacre to ensure the security of France's economic power and influence. By using the Catholic Church's own contempt for a Protestant religion, she justified the mass slaughtering of thousands.
She was married to the country of England. Even as a woman, Elizabeth the Great is recognized as one of the world's most influential leaders. Although she was seen as illegitimate in the eyes of the Church, after the death of her sister Mary Tudor, Elizabeth took the throne. Once she did, her right to her power were continuously challenged, both by religious officials and later by several assassination attempts, and of course by the leader of Spain, Philip II. In 1588, he built up his own armada and set sail on the English Channel to lay waste to England and Elizabeth. However, the Virgin Queen was ready and waiting with an army of her own. She led her troops to battle, and the Spanish retreated in a humiliating defeat. Many men of God demanded that she marry because it was the will of her religion. However, Elizabeth used the symbol of the Virgin Mary to justify her rule and continue to govern a Protestant nation. Elizabeth replied, "I am married to England."
Okay, start talking.
Giggling, but I'll hit you.
Pushing you.
In their natural habitat.
Okay.
Alright, go.